All right, good afternoon, everybody. Hello, I'm on the screen, taking up a little space. This is by Loving Life with Light, which is my business, and for Universal Astrology. Says, eh. So it is the 3rd of March. And we are still in a bit of a geomagnetic storm, ongoing, really. So that's kind of the space weather news as far as today goes. Is we're still in that. We still have some heavy, let's see, it's that way, heavy solar streams coming in. Fast solar wind just coming straight at our Earth and really making that bow shock really fluctuate over the last couple of days. Has been pretty interesting to see. And we'll probably go over to NOAA today to see more about that stuff. So I guess let's start there. I already had it up. One thing, so this is NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center. This is the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. And here, right here, they've got their KP index. And this is a rating system, the KP index numbered here. And this is the level of geomagnetic storm. So over the last couple of days, let's see, the highest it was on the 1st. We got to a G3 on a chart that goes to a G5. So things that we would see on like a level G4 or G5 is instability in our electric grid. And that means for us like things like power outages and our technology just getting all out of whack, let alone some of the physical effects that can happen in our own bodies, really. So I'll get over to the science for that just so you can see that there's some scientific evidence that geomagnetic storms do play an influence on our physical bodies as well. Just like solar activity has a lot to do with how our heart functions, cardiac rhythms, things like that. So the aurora forecasts have been pretty decent. In fact, in some cases, coming all the way down into almost to the United States. Whoa. Whoa. So that's pretty cool. I'll try and throw up my Galaxy Cam too on my I'm like making facial expressions and doing stuff. You can't see me. So, fix that real quick. Okay. The solar spot number. Taking a peek at this, the different way to look at the chart that we normally live stream. And shows the prediction in a different way. This is the NL prediction. Oh, I'll have to look up what it's called. And it's not just myself, but SolarSystemScope, the space weather woman, who has some amazing mini courses about the sun. She is the reason that I know so much about the sun. But she predicted as well some fast solar wind and some different boosts. There's that. Sorry, Tamitha, I didn't mean. But anyways, if you haven't given her a look or a follow, I highly suggest it. She's awesome. And the other thing that we were going to do, look at science. Okay, so biological effects of space weather. Here it is. Geomagnetic storms, strong solar wind streams, and internal. Open some of these up. Or the relationship that geomagnetic storms, may or may not have on us. Geomagnetic storm and strong solar wind and stream infraction region affects the cardiovascular system. Interaction regions with the cardiovascular characteristics in patients with acute coronary syndrome. Local geomagnetic field fluctuations, relationships with mental and physical health among adults in Lithuania. Correlation between changes in local Earth's magnetic field and cases of acute myocardial infarction, influence solar cycles and vitamin D. Effects of geomagnetic activity variations on the physiological and psychological state of functionally healthy humans. Some results of Azerbaijani studies. So, strong studies here, links between the solar cycle and geomagnetic storms, which obviously are related. So this type of stuff can be found on my website if you go to the, I think it's just /library /public, and then it'll take you to my library. I'm still working on this page, but here, right here, see where it says anywhere that says bookmarks. Anyways, I'll make sure the bookmarks are there. It'll show up on this page by the end of today, I promise. Oh, here they are, right here. Bookmarks on PayPal-y. That's this stuff. That's right here. So you can have access to this. It's already there. I'm just silly. Under my public resources page. Astrology bookmarks and the universal astrology. Okay? So whenever I'm on PayPal, you know where to find that. Let's scoot over to astrology before I get too terribly sidetracked. Not a whole lot different than yesterday, so you can go ahead and watch yesterday's. Really, not many differences. I did notice that we have a little bit of a funny kind of interesting enough, in the sun chart, the helio chart is a little bit more intricate today, where this one is kind of streamlining. Moon is going to opposite, is opposing Uranus today, so we also have some squares over to Saturn. Interesting for some. So Moon being in Libra, Moon is a lot of the time it's just and representing for the collective, the mother, the divine feminine aspect, and it being in Libra, it's really about justice, doing what's right and what's fair for everybody. And so this can kind of square what I was talking about yesterday with some of these communication in Capricorn is very direct, it's very straightforward, it's very, very truthful and straight to the point. It's not frilly, it's not usually, Capricorn's not usually pretty. I mean, Capricorn's sign is a goatfish man. Like, that's not cute, that's not pretty, it's Capricorn. It's about what is. And so this can kind of resonate with the moon in Libra, right? Of just being justice and fair. I think where the struggle is that Jupiter and Saturn are also here in Capricorn, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So it would be cool and all if Saturn wasn't here and Jupiter and Mercury were having open discussions about growth and, you know, the wellness for all things. But Saturn's here like, no, we need to take this a step further. This is about responsibility for all things and all people involved, including the divine feminine over here in air of Libra. There's just kind of an interesting dynamic with this square going on. Again, this is the geocentric chart. And then we have like some trine energy from the moon going over to the Sun and Venus and Neptune in Aquarius, a fellow air sign, about, not really about fairness, but about equality. Equality is what they're focused on. So this is really jiving with the moon's presence right now. And if we look back over to like screen here, we've got over the new moon phase, so it's in a waning phase now. So we're gonna start to feel like we're losing a little bit of the power that we had at the full moon. It's gonna start to kind of reel back and come into that phase of reflection, the course of and going into a new moon or a new phase. So we're in that receding phase, and so the divine feminine is going, okay, you know, we've gotten the power center, the power struggle over. Let's do the whole thing. And this is kind of at opposition with Uranus and Mars, who's really just ready to go. He's ready to flip the switch. And Mars is trining Pluto, like absolutely ready to go. Pluto's just barely making it into the Capricorn energy. He's just entered the room, and Pluto is about personal power. So we're about to really get involved again with things of this Capricorn nature, about finding the absolute truth, about getting to the top of the mountain, about doing what you have to do, and being motivated by getting those things done. So just kind of the rundown of the Geo today. And then again, the Sun, the helio aspect today is a little bit more, it's just a little bit more complicated. So for this, I'm going to get over to the SolarSystemScope, of course, my lovely, lovely So we just have a large array here of planetary geometry going on. If we look from a very straight above, with the Sun in the center, we have this really unique triangle going on today between Earth, Sun, Venus, coming over to Mars, and then back to Earth, if you can't see that triangle. So there's some interesting geometry based on the solar system, which is better understood in a sun chart. And then we also, in just the sun perspective of things, just a really unique, there's just really unique geometry to it. Another shape that I see is kind of a bit of a trapezoid almost. Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, down to Neptune, over to Uranus and the Sun. That trapezoid, it's just, the geometry is what we are really concerned with in astrology. So another interesting point here when we're looking at things like astrology is that we've got this plane, this flat plane, that the solar system, we spin on and around in this disk. Well, dwarf planets and asteroids don't do that. They have really eccentric, unique orbits. And so, in respect to geometry, Pluto crossed over and into the down under last year. And so it's making its dive down, and it's gonna maybe try and meet up with Eris. At least that's what Pluto's thinking. Pluto's on its way out here. Pluto is not necessarily too concerned with what's going on with the inner systems. He was last year. He was meeting up, he was having those meetings, he was having those discourses and providing the energy there. But now Pluto is much more, again, facing out towards the direction that is going of Eris. So like if I was to speed this up in time, so you knew what I was talking about, and just go really, really, really fast, years to come here, Eris is moving up towards this. Pluto is continuing to progress down, 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 down. Gonna keep going farther and farther and farther down into this stuff, while Eris is making its way to top and back, up, up, up. You can notice also that Haumea and Meke is also coming towards in this galactic plane area, and will eventually at some point dip down. Now here goes Eris, and it's propelled forward. It's 2068 when Eris will actually break over and Pluto is going back under. Okay, so I should be back. So when we're talking about and looking at Pluto, we really have to kind of step back and see what the other dwarf planets are doing. So if you're gonna include, here's just my personal opinion for other astrologers about Pluto being a planet or not. Yeah, it's a planet. It is a dwarf planet though. That's like what it is. So I totally agree that it's a planet, and I'm all for using it in astrology and for astrological purposes, but if you're going to use one dwarf planets, you should probably include the other ones like Eris and Makemake and some of those other ones. And if you can't do that, then you probably aren't ready to understand the kind of planetary way of large cycles and movements and eccentric orbits to really understand their movements and their positions and their power in the solar system, which is really different than the other planets in our solar system. Anyways, enough of my Plutarian rants. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up so that I can spend some more time. Thank you for watching, and I'll be around again to do a show tomorrow.